What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to be talking about several blessings that have happened in the past 4 months that God has just been answering prayers in my life. It's been a while since I have done this, but today I just thought since today, the day of recording, since it's a Sabbath, I can be able to just sit down and chat with you, my family, my people. So the first one, it had to do with my car. So over the past probably 5 to 6 months, my car has been having one issue after the other. They were just accumulating. So it started out with a tire pressure sensor. You know, that light that comes on the dashboard that shows you that you need to put more air in your tires. So I thought I was just leaking air somehow, and then I went and I checked, and the air was good. So I then realized that probably the sensor has gone out. So it was not a big deal to me. So I decided to just drive it around until the day that I take it to the mechanic for another issue. Then we can have that fixed. So that was that. That was the first light. And then before you know it, there was another second light, ABS system, the braking system. The light came on. And I researched it and I Googled it, and they said, the people that were giving reviews, tutorials, all that good stuff on YouTube, they said, that's not something to be worried about. Eventually, you would like to take care of it because it doesn't make you really at risk of ruining your car. But eventually you want to have your brakes, your automatic braking system working. So I just decided to just drive it a little bit more before I had to take it to the mechanic. So in the month of August, not so long, was it in July? I think, let me see. Yeah, it was in July actually. So in July, so what happened is I went to the town that is close by. It's about 30 minutes. If you are familiar with southwestern Michigan and Indiana, it's Mishawaka. So it's like around 30 minutes from my house in Barron Springs, Michigan. So I decided to go and take care of some things there. And when I was coming back, like 15 minutes in my trip, I was already getting close to home, and then an engine light came on. So I thought it was just a normal engine light. So when I looked the second time, the engine light was flashing. And I drove for like a half a mile, and the car started jerking. So I'm thinking, what in the world is happening? So I pull out of the road, and then I went into a Baptist church parking lot. So I was parked there. And then I decided to just look it up, and there were so many different things that were being mentioned. Some people were saying just change the oil and you should be good to go, or you should at least be able to drive home. So I decided to call the dealership. Fortunately, the town that I was in, it was where I could get help. So I decided to call in. My car is a Kia Sorento 2015. So I decided to call the Kia in Niles, and then they picked up the call and told me to just check if the oil was good and I should be able to drive it. So I was like, yeah, that sounds good. So I checked the oil was good, and I thought I might be able to drive. But one thing that is really good that the person whom I was talking to said was, if you feel like it's driving funny, just pull over and maybe get a tow truck and get it to the dealership, something like that. So I decided to drive, and before you know it, before I even drove like a half a mile, the car started that jerking, like it's about to stop, like a car that is running out of gas. So I was like, no, this is worse than I thought. So I'm just gonna drive it to the dealership. So I drove it to the dealership, driving it really slow. And when I got to the dealership, I just turned it in and had to come back home using an Uber. Had a good conversation with the Uber guy. And that was it. My car was in the shop. That's the only car that I have. And I had to start walking to places. But the good thing is that was close to the pastoral ministerial retreat. So that week, I didn't have to worry about my car. I got a ride from a friend, a pastor. And because ministerial retreat was like 4 hours away from where we live. So I caught a ride. Shout out to Pastor Junior. He gave me a ride. So whilst we were there, God impressed me that I should go to ASI. And I'm thinking, man, going to ASI, this is so last minute because we're there Sunday and ASI was starting on Wednesday. So that will have meant that right the day that ministerial retreat ends, then I will have to fly to ASI. And I had no ticket. I had not booked anything, no hotel, no what. So I'm thinking to myself, everyone is just asking me, hey, are you going to ASI? Because there was something that was happening, which is another video for another day. So I'm thinking, this thing keeps on coming about me going to ASI. What's the deal? So the days were getting closer. And then the night before, someone asked me as well. And I started feeling the conviction, God saying, you need to go to ASI, you need to go to ASI. And I'm thinking, I haven't booked any flights. It's last minute. Flights are going to be very expensive. So I said, I'm going to put a fleece out there. I don't usually put fleeces because my relationship with God, we have a way that God shows me what he wants me to do. So I decided to put a fleece out there. So I said, God, if I'm going to text my senior pastor, who is my immediate boss, that early morning during breakfast that I want to go to ASI, if he says yes, then that's a sign for me to go to ASI. And if he says no, it's last minute, then I won't go. So during breakfast, sure enough, I came up with a text and sent it. I just closed my eyes and sent it because I thought it was ridiculous to ask for permission right before you were about to go. So before you know it, he sent back a text and he said, that would be good for a next step. Actually, going to ASI is a good idea. Yeah, you're free to go to ASI. And I'm thinking, wait, what? What just happened? But that was the fleece that I had put out. So really, God had confirmed that he wanted me to go to ASI. So I asked Pastor Junior, who was giving me a ride, like the ministerial retreat was ending around 12. But for me to be able to go back home 4 hours away and prepare, I needed to leave right away. So that was another fleece. I asked him, are you willing to drive out like right now? And he's like, oh, I'm ready, like yesterday. Let's roll. So that was another answer to prayer that confirmed that I needed to go to ASI. So I started booking my flight right there, got my stuff and his stuff in the car, and we started driving back home to Berrien Springs. On our drive, I'm booking hotel, I'm paying for the registration and booking a flight. It was a little bit pricey, out of my comfort zone, but I knew that God had confirmed over and over again that I should be able to go to ASI. And I'm thinking, I'm buying all these tickets. I don't even know how much my car is going to cost in terms of fixing it. So we got home. I was left with 2 hours before the flight that I had booked. Thank God there were still seats on the flights, especially to coming out of or flying out of the local airport, which is in South Bend, Michigan. So we get home. I get home and started preparing. I just told my brother, I'm here. In 2 hours, I'll be going to ASI. I just came back, which is really interesting. But he understood. He knows his brother travels a lot. So I told him I'm going to go to ASI. Then I ran to the airport. My brother dropped me at the airport, actually, which was nice of him. Dropped me at the airport. And off, I went to ASI smoothly. The flights were really good, and everything went really well. Checked in to my inn, which was a cheaper option, because hotels were really, really pricey. I didn't have that much money. So I got an inn, which was like probably like 5 minutes away from the convention center driving, and 30 minutes walking. So I got a good deal. So I went and checked in that night. That was Wednesday night. Thursday morning, got up, ate breakfast, and went and registered. Everything went smoothly. ASI was a blast. Met a lot of people, made a lot of connections. That's probably another video on another day, but a good contact for my next step that I was preparing for, and had good conversations with people, networking, messages, good messages, mission reports. If you have not attended ASI and you're in the US or in a country that you can be able to fly, some people came from my country, from Zimbabwe, from South Africa, from all over the world to go to ASI. So if you have the means to go to ASI, plan to go to ASI if everything is well and the world still allows, because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. But if you have the opportunity, I highly, highly recommend you to attend ASI. I'd attended before. I knew what to expect, but you never know who you run into. I ran into some people that recognized me from being on the media team at Village and pastoral team, and being on YouTube. They're like, "Oh yeah, we recognize you," which was kind of neat and a little bit awkward, because I'm not used to people running into me and saying, "Hey, we know you, we want to take a picture with you." I'm the one who used to run into people, seeing some people, famous people, wanting to take a picture, kind of thing. So when someone does that to you, you're like, "Oh, okay, this is very interesting." So it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. Met some old friends, made some new friends, and mingled. ASI was a blast. And ASI ended. I'll share more detail probably in another video. But whilst I'm coming back, there was a storm that was coming, a heavy storm. It wasn't a hurricane or a tornado or that. So ASI was in Florida. If you know Florida, in the recent hurricanes and everything, it gets pretty crazy there. So there was a heavy storm that was coming. So everyone was being alerted. So that storm ended up delaying my flight. And whilst I was on the flight and it got delayed again, there was an engine issue, and they finally managed to fix it probably 3 hours later. So I missed my connecting flight from Chicago to South Bend. So whilst I was in Chicago, then I went and booked a hotel, and the hotel, I was just like, the airline has to pay for my hotel. And they did later on paid for my hotel and compensated me for the time and the meetings that I had missed the following day. But that's another story on its own. So I'm in the hotel. I rested well, really nice hotel, nice inn. And then the next morning, as I was getting ready, I get a call. So this is where everything is going to connect. I get a call, and this call was from the Kia dealership. So they were calling me to update me about my car. So I'm like, "Hey, here we go. I'm going to be told to pay thousands of dollars to fix the engine light." Because I think they had told me the diagnosis. So the guy that was on the call said, "Hey, I have good news for you." And I'm thinking, what kind of good news comes from the dealership that is fixing my car? Probably they've managed to fix it. They said, "We ran tests on your engine, and then there were some things that the engine failed the tests. So Kia decided to replace your engine for free, and this could have costed you 10,000 US dollars." You know, just hearing that, I was like, "Wait, what? Wait, what?" I froze, and the guy was like, "Hello, hello, hello," and I was just like, "Yeah. I heard you. Thank you so much. Do you know why they ended up giving me a new engine?" He said, I don't really know the details. We just filed the report and they decided to give you a new engine. So we're going to put the engine for you without any cost. Kia is going to cover everything. The total cost will be like 10,000 US dollars, and you're not going to pay anything. The only thing that you can pay is the hoses that we need to replace, because if we didn't put a new engine within all the hoses, then it's going to affect the engine eventually. So I was like, yeah, I can pay that. It was around probably like 400 US dollars. And then he hung up, and I was just thinking, what just happened? So God had covered my engine even more. I wasn't thinking that it was going to cost that much. The engine needed to be replaced. And if that was the case, I wasn't going to be able to fix that car. And you remember that conviction to go to ASI? God knew that he had covered all my expenses. He had covered everything, even the expenses for the car that I needed to pay. So God had already covered it. So I got back. They said they were going to fix it. So I asked him on the phone before he hung up that does he have cars to loan me? Because what dealerships usually do is that they will give you a car to drive whilst they are fixing your car. And he said, all my loaners, they call them loaners, all my loaners are gone. I don't have anything. But before he hung up, he said, hey, let me just check with my guys here. And he came back and he said, oh, so what we're going to do is we're going to rent a car for you. I'm like, wait, what? This is so cool. I love rental cars. Rental cars are always new, smell good, drive good. So compared to my car, it's a little older. It's a 2015 car. Rental cars are usually like cars of the same year or the previous year. So I was so excited that I was going to get a rental car. So I flew the next day to South Bend, got home, and the rental car people called me the next day. They were like, oh, when are you going to come to get the car? And before that, someone had told me, one of my friends had told me that, one of the pastors, they told me, because I had asked them to go and drop me off at the rental car place. And they said, those people from the rental place, they can actually drive to come and give you the car or pick you up if you're within the radius. So it's like, oh, that's neat. So I called them up and they said, yeah, you're within our 20-mile radius. So we're going to send our representative to come pick you up, and then you come get your car. And sure enough, within a few hours, the rental came. They picked me up from work, from the church. And the car that we drove is the one that they were going to rent out to me at zero cost, because Kia was going to pay for the rental as well. It's at daily rate. So I didn't have money to do that. So I got this Jeep that was really nice. It was really nice to sample a new Jeep. So we drove a Jeep for a few days. They had said, probably it was going to take 2 weeks. So I was getting excited that I was going to drive that Jeep for at least 2 weeks. And because they were paying for the rental, they made my car priority. So it didn't end up taking 2 weeks. It ended up taking a week. So I was kind of like bummed, but excited at the same time that my car, it had a brand new engine, new hoses and everything. But the ABS light was not fixed then. It was fixed later. So I got to drive a new car for 2 weeks. I was rolling. People were just like, "Oh man, you're driving a new car." Then I had to explain to them that it was a rental. But at the beginning, they will be like, "Hey, you're driving a new car," and I loved it so much. I wish I could be driving every hour. I would be so sad when I had to park it for the time that I was at work. But that's just me being silly. But it was really nice to drive that rental. So my car then was finished. I went to get it. It was working fine. Everything was good. Then a week later, or a few weeks after that, I needed to go and shoot some videos for a friend. My friend, who is a pastor, wanted a promotional video for his church. So I couldn't go there, and I also wanted to go to another church as well to consult on live streaming. So before I left, I just thought like there's something weird about my car. My steering is kind of uh, going to the side. Like when I let my car go, it just starts going out of the road. So there was kind of like, I'm thinking there's something wrong with the alignment or something. So before I went out of town, I just thought I would go to the garage and just ask some of my guys that I know of at the garage, local garage. So they said, you know, you never know. Probably it's tie rods, and we don't know the amount of damage or where that is. So if you go on a long trip, it might not be good because you might wreck. And then I was like, Lord, you are so merciful. You are amazing, because I almost drove out of town without even checking what's going on. So he said, if I were you, I'll just drive local, not going too far, or even not drive it at all. So my trips were bummed, but I was so thankful that something that could have been worse was prevented. So later on, they said, hey, we can fix your steering, we can fix what's going on with the alignment as well. And I told them, once you're fixing that, then you can fix the ABS system and the tire sensor that was not working properly. So in the end, my car was fixed. The alignment, the steering came on straight, and the ABS system was fixed. I had to replace the hub. There were some of the expenses that I had not planned for, but God still provided. And then that tire pressure sensor was fixed as well. So all the issues on my car were fixed. There's still one issue that is left, though, is the paint that is peeling off. I was looking at on Facebook and saw that there is a group of people that are trying to sue Kia because of those models that started peeling paint. So it has been a long discussion, and they haven't kind of found a resolution. So that's the only thing. So if my car, I manage to repaint it, and everything is gonna just be like a brand new car, pretty much, with just a few things that are old. But I just wanted to share this story with you to show you that God takes care of every single thing in your life if you do trust in Him. When He says you go and do this, you go and do it, because God knows exactly what He's up to and where He's going with the suggestions that He's giving you in your life. God is good, my friends. God is good. He provided for all these things that I've shared, and I'll continue to share some of the incredible things that God will continue to do. So don't forget to subscribe, to like, all that good stuff, comment, share. If this testimony or this answered prayers and God's intervention have inspired you, just know that they can inspire the next person that you're going to share with. Or if you comment, like, subscribe, all those things, they will help for the algorithm so that this video will be suggested to a lot of people. So until next time, God bless.